this defense first and foremost. Listen, you can go to they're playing a 3-4. Really, they got 5 guys in there that can stop the run and rush the passer. It all starts with those 3 guys in the middle, though, and really they want to get into these situations. You got to win your single blocks. 19, Josh Sweat has been a really, really high level player, I think, for them for years. He's going to win here against the tackle and just fight off. And they've got so many guys at line of scrimmage. They're going to commit to the run, especially when you see that the 12-21 personnel looks that Green Bay will show from time to time. Very, very good at disruption, very good at movement. You see 98 Jordan Davis in there. I mean, they got a couple third-round draft picks, a couple guys that are in second, third year in the league that are they're not household names. Really, really good players. Jordan Davis is different than all of them. Jordan Davis is different. He is absolutely problematic. The way that he can jump from gap to gap at his size, and he can go from A gap to B gap to A gap really, really fast. Just huge problem, man. Huge problem. Both these guys are really good, though. See 93 with the arm over swim. Both get in on the play. And just a ton of movement. And you can read a lot by their stances, certainly. But you just see the press on the right guard. We win backside against the tackle. There's just guys, every person across the line is more than capable of beating their guy. You're looking at these teams and you're looking, okay, where's the fish? Where's the guy that we can exploit? Where's the backside cutoff that's going to be easy? Against these guys, it's not really there. You're really going to look, and this is the other thing, and sometimes when you're watching tape, you have to take some context. Green Bay doesn't run anything as basic as the Dallas Cowboys run stuff. And this is one of the reasons, their guys are always, every year you're like, are they going to get fired or not? But compare their offense to like what Matt LaFleur is running, as far as window dressing pre-snap. And there's just nothing like it. It's just, it's apples and oranges. So a lot of this stuff is just a little bit too basic, in my opinion, to get a really good feel of what Green Bay is able to do against a team like the Eagles, or I guess I should say vice versa, what the Eagles are defensively to be able to do against Green Bay. But you see here just the pursuit, penetration in the backfield over and over. You can see the tackles are just exasperated. Excuse me. You see here the square stance by Jordan Davis. You got to be able to read this because he can take that big step with his right foot, rip underneath, get penetration, game's over. Backside player makes the play. He ends up getting thrown back. But it's, this is the kind of stuff where you have to be aware, you have to be ready. And you'll see even when they are, sometimes it's not good enough because he's, so fast, so big. But this is where communication, this is where coaching, this is where scheme development and kind of that football IQ all comes into play, because it's going to be imperative that if the Packers can see this, if one guy can see it, right tackle, right or left tackle sees it, and they can communicate down the line of scrimmage, now we really got a chance to cut those slant looks off. Because when you do get slant looks, those are opportunities for huge plays. I think this guy's a third-round draft pick. I mean, just the speed, he does that swim move, beats the center. Obviously doesn't make the tackle, but really makes the tackle. They're just – it's all over tape. No matter what game you turn on with these guys, they penetrate, they beat their guys one-on-one. They do a good job of beating doubles a lot of time on the play side, better than the backside. They can beat single blocks on the backside as well. But they ask a lot of those guys, and they do a hell of a job. We get into the secondary. One thing you're going to see over and over, I think, is, first of all, just look at the deep drop from the safety at the snap. Regardless if it's play action, shotgun, anything, that guy is dropping first and foremost. And, Fangio's, listen, I bet you can't go 80 yards on me. That's his whole thing, especially with the D-line they have. They have guys in the secondary that can make plays. They play off a lot. And, again, everything's in front of you. They don't want to get beat deep. They'll put some pressure on it. But even when they put pressure, it's not going to be just, sticky man-to-man coverage. They're going to give you a little opportunity to throw because they don't want to give up those big plays. You have to, against this defense, exploit space. You see here, they've got 15 yards of space between that second level and that safety. They're running a little bit of poach there in the middle, or Robert with the free coming down. But you have to be able, when you get any kind of press coverage, you have to be able to exploit space. You have to be able to make those throws, and you have to win one-on-one, particularly on the outside. They're trying to take away the inside throws. Give yourself a chance on the outside. The safety cannot get there to make the play on the ball in that kind of medium to long range pass. He's looking for the deep balls, and then underneath they're going to try to get the inside stuff on the in cuts. But if you can throw them, you think about that Romeo Dobbs, 15-yard out that he runs so well. Jordan Love throws so well. Those things are going to be open all day. Look at it again. Safety, just look at the depth. This is play action, and there's just so much room here on the bottom of the screen. I mean, look how open really we were at the 45-yard line. They throw this ball underneath, but you're just wide open at the 45 because of the space the safeties give. They're going to bring a little pressure here. This is just, look, this is one of those schemes that you can look and say, okay, the Packers are going to run this. Bunch, starting a bunch, motion outside with the inside receiver. They bring pressure. Backside linebacker gets caught up on who's filling, so pressure, but they bubble the running back, and the pressure follows. Backside linebacker gets screwed up underneath the crosser. Big gain. This stuff happens with every team. I think the more movement that you get when you move, and then you have forced these guys because they got some sort of dog blitz pressure coming. You move, and all of a sudden the rules change a little bit at the snap. That's when you get the big plays, particularly if you can run a lot of picks and crossers. These guys, I'm not saying that. Well, let's get into this first. So they're gonna slant the defensive end. Usually, when they're slanting like this, you're gonna see one of two things. You're gonna see that will linebacker really come down strong into that C gap and force the action, or you're gonna see a safety or a nickel slot coming off the edge. You don't really see either here. They're gonna give you time, and when you give time here, so you can pass off this game. 54 is not in a position to make the play on the tackle. He's late. Now there's a huge gap to be exploited. You see that nickel guy coming late there. That's what happens when you don't have this all timed up, right? The Eagles, even in this game versus a known opponent, it was surprising. There's a couple plays in there. There's enough big explosive plays where you go, there's room for exploitation, I think, of scheme with the Green Bay Packers, or particularly in all of the motions and what's the word I'm trying to use, Mike? Pre-snap motion and switch sets. Shifts, excuse me. What a terrible word. Shifts, boys and girls. Here we go. So not pressing on pressure. So we bring the nickel slot. You can kind of read this if you're the quarterback. You got the slot covered up. They go across. They go to trips. They bring pressure. And everyone's playing a little bit off, particularly on the outside. Or you got your back turned, and these plays are open. And I think they're going to be open all day, because look, again, how deep that safety gets, and you're really just trying to not get beat deep. And they're going to give up some of the short stuff. They brought two to the strong side there. And if you can't pick it up, or if you have it picked up, and I don't think this is one of those deals where it's going to catch the Packers by surprise. If you get it picked up, first of all, it's probably the best thing you can do just from a line standpoint. It makes it easier to block when those guys have to take a specific gap. We've talked about this before. Pressure, if it's communicated well, is easier to block than straight one-on-ones. So if we can pick it up, you're going to have time to throw. And if you have time to throw, they're going to give you space to throw all those in-cut, out-cut routes. They just don't want to get beat deep. So movement can be costly. So we're going to get a slant off the right guard from that 3 technique. And he's got penetration. But because we cut off the backside here, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, they don't even block the right guys. And this is what I'm talking about at the linebacker level. Like, there's plays to be made they don't make. They get blocked easily at the linebacker level. Dallas Cowboys have a good offensive line, not great. If you can get these guys covered, and sometimes they, instead of penetrating, you can see it by their footwork. If they think you're going to run some sort of wide zone or double, they'll start widening with you. And if you can cover up and hold on and not let them take an edge, stay square and stay on your track, They will get antsy. You'll watch 97 here. He dips inside, outside run. And that's literally just a function of kind of not wanting to hold your ground and hold your gap and trying to make a play. If you keep pressure, keep track, keep your feet moving, I think on a lot of these guys, they're going to try to peek backside. And when you do that, you're running back and exploit, particularly the way that Josh Jacobs runs those jump cuts. Got to take care of the double teams. These guys will give you time at the second level. You see, they're just not downhill fire squad guys. I think it's easy to block them at the second level, relatively speaking. And listen, we're happy to fall forward for 6, 7-yard gains every single time. This is what we saw from the Packers last year. You know, to be honest, if you talk about what we're doing at the linebacker position, this year so much more downhill. You see the contrast. You see how much more. I think visually it's fun to watch, but I think effectively creating a demeanor and a culture in that room is a little bit different. These guys do it more with the penetration at the defensive line position, not as much for the linebackers. I think it's a really good football team on defense. It's going to be a tough game. I go back though, and I think we're going to have a scheme and a system that's going to really pressure their leverage and their numbers. And when you just look at film, it's easy to watch film and pull things apart. What's going to come down to is, can you win your one-on-one matchups on the field of play? If the answer is yes, you're going to have a lot of success, obviously. But I guess what I'm saying is there's nothing about the scheme that they are doing that is difficult to ascertain or to plan against. What is difficult is the execution because of the talent of the players on their roster. So I think that's a little bit different than some of the teams you'll see.